Hi, I'm John. This is my show, Sports Reckoning. So, I've made videos saying that Kobe Bryant was assassinated. No doubt about it, he was murdered. And I would say that the reasons for him being murdered primarily is the company Nike. That Nike is involved with China in such a big way. The business of what they're doing in China is massive because basketball is massive over there. They have their product made over there. They're selling their product over there. It's just massive. Nike is a massively politically influential company, and I do not like of the way they're wielding their political power. I'll make it clearly open to say I believe Nike killed Len Bias and Hank Gathers, and I think that they gave Magic Johnson AIDS so that Nike could have Michael Jordan become Michael Jordan. Because if Michael Jordan had to face Len Bias on the Boston Celtics, we don't know where Hank Gathers would have ended up, but we know Magic Johnson's on the Lakers, and Michael Jordan only had to face Magic one time in a championship. One time. And then that was it. His career was over. After he faced him and beat him once, well, then that was it. It's official. That means that Nike was full in now. We've got our champion, and we're going to back him to the ultimate limits. This is our guy. And that's why they would step up to damage Magic Johnson. Because, killing somebody like Len Bias and Hank Gathers, those are just they're black ghetto kids. And I don't know technically if they're from the ghetto and stuff, but that's the way they're going to be perceived. If they're black guys playing basketball, the population and the public are just going to say, oh, well, they're black kids from the ghetto. Who cares about them? And it's this is what I'm trying to say, is that without these hardcore racial stereotypes existing, then Nike would not be able to assassinate people like that and have no consequences and shit, right? So I personally, I want the toxicology reports re-examined of Len Bias and Hank Gathers, and I want to see if there's with new medical research people, I want the eyes to look at that and see if there's some kind of common drug that existed in both of them that at the time that it just looked like it was nothing. But now if we look back, maybe we can find the common link that drug, if you find a common drug that's in both of them, that could be the drug that was used to assassinate them. But the people at the time, they're not looking for that. So you need a guy that has a professional eyes to look upon the toxicology reports now, because Len Bias should have had he was claimed to have died of a drug overdose. He should have had a toxicology report done. And Hank Gathers, he died on the court of what I believe they called it an enlarged heart type of thing, but I would think that they also would have ran a toxicology report, so you wouldn't have to exhume the bodies to get DNA tests and stuff like that. I would think the evidence is probably already out there, exists. You just need fresh eyes on that stuff, right? So that's what I'm saying. If you look at Michael Jordan, look at the people that he had to go through in his career, and you'll find out that he didn't have to go through anybody. If you actually look at who he had to overcome and defeat to be the champions of which it was, you had to take away the guys that would have given him the biggest problems. Who would have been that? Len Bias, Hank Gathers, Magic Johnson. Those three guys, they're all bigger and physically as gifted, talented as Michael Jordan. There's no way possible Michael Jordan gets 6 titles in which the way he did if those guys were in the league. It's not possible. It's not possible. And if Michael Jordan does not have the 6 titles of what he has, he's not recognized as the GOAT. What would that do to his shoe brand, the Air Jordans? They would be big, but would they be that big? And here's the thing. Now, Reebok, the company Reebok, if I think of Reebok in basketball shoes, I think of D. Brown. Yeah, he did the slam dunk. He won a slam dunk award, and before that he pumped up his shoes. He pumped because they had the Reebok pump thing, right? And I remember at the slam dunk contest, he pumped his Reebok shoes up, and he did the slam. Okay, but D. Brown, what's D. Brown compared to Michael Jordan? People would not even, you don't even think of it. It's not even in the same league and shit, right? But if that same event had occurred and it was Len Bias doing it, and then Len Bias won the championship and if he beats Michael Jordan and Len Bias wins the championship with the Celtics, Michael Jordan's never Michael Jordan. It's just a simple realization that you have to understand that that's what they were going against. And you have to have motive. If you look at the company of Nike right now, how big and powerful are, that's motive. And when you see that they're wielding their political power, you understand that it's they were in it to win it. They're not just a shoe company trying to do business. They're getting large so they can wield this political power of which they have, of which I'm saying needs to be exposed, and we need to abolish Nike should be owned by Lynn Bias and Hank Gather's family. They need to be sued, and that company needs to be owned by Lynn Bias and Hank Gather's family. That's who should own Nike. You people, you want to talk about Black Lives Matter? Okay, well, let's start standing up for some Black lives, people who were assassinated by a company like Nike, and let's get rid of Nike's white supremacist rule and the frickin' stranglehold they have over frickin' so much of sports and politics. Let's get rid of that, and let's get some black people in charge of that company. You know, who's the people out here really fighting for black lives? You know, I don't see anybody actually fighting for black people. I don't see any of that fucking shit happening. So, now I'm going to show you different events that have occurred which align with the Kobe Bryant assassination, okay? Because Kobe Bryant's assassinated for all the Nike stuff, but it was primarily to wield the power to LeBron James, to give him focus, because he's also a Nike. He's also been under contract with Nike since the day he first stepped into the league. You know, he's the king. And then there's no accident that he's in LA. You know, and the year that Kobe Bryant's crash happens, what happens? He wins the championship. What happens at that time? They're in the bubble. They've got Black Lives Matter painted on the floor. All that stuff that's happening, it's all about political, so they can control the political world of what they're doing. There's no doubt that they're actually doing this stuff, and you dumb people like the fans, oh no, well, if that happens, my Michael Jordan card's gonna go down. Fuck you. You're disgusting. That's all you care about is the value of your Michael Jordan card? All you care about is your Michael Jordan shoe collection like a woman? They've got these goddamn people out here collecting shoes like a bunch of fucking women. You're a bunch of fucking women. They own your fucking soul. And they turned you into a fucking woman with a shoe collection. Fucking women. So, now, let's listen to this a little bit. This is Joe Rogan talking about where it starts. Now, they started hacking these cars and killing people. The first one, primarily, that's the real famous one, there was a reporter for Rolling Stone magazine and stuff. And it's documented that his car was hacked and they killed him. This shit's like documented.
And he reported a lot of the stuff that they said and did that maybe they thought that he probably wouldn't have reported on, including them saying disparaging things about President Obama at the time. Anyway, comes back. The general was forced to resign. He was a beloved general, and Michael Hastings was in fearing for his life because he thought that they were going to come and get him because these people were very, very angry at him.
Okay, and then this is what happened to Michael Hastings. That's his car. It crashed right into a tree with nobody around, and it just crashed right into a tree. That's his car. That's what they did to him. That's what they did. That's the guy he's talking about. The reporter who reported on this stuff, and the general was forced to resign, and he was fearing for his life. That's what happened to him. They killed him.
You saw him?
I did not see anybody that.
That's him. That's what they did to him. Okay? That's what he's talking about. Now, I'm going to go back to the Joe Rogan, to the beginning here. I'm going to show you a different part here. Now he's talking to, this is the same clip of that Joe Rogan. I'm just going to show you a different piece. This is him talking to an MIT scientist, okay? Listen here.
Concerned about those systems being vulnerable to third-party attacks.
Yeah, so hacking.
Yeah.
That's a fascinating question. I think there is a whole discipline called adversarial machine learning in AI, which basically any kind of system you can think of, how we can feed it examples, how we can add a little bit of noise to the system to fool it completely. So there's been demonstrations on Alexa, for example, where you can feed noise into the system that's imperceptible to us humans and make it believe you said anything. So fool the system into thinking, so ordering extra toilet paper, I don't know. And the same for cars, you can feed noise into the cameras to make it believe that there is or there isn't a pedestrian, that there is or there isn't lane markings.
So someone could do this, in theory at least.
In theory, that's the big difference. Is in theory it's doable, you can do demonstrations. In practice, it's actually really difficult to do in the real world. So in the lab, you can do it.
Okay, so he's saying it can be done. It's just that he's not fully aware of them actually doing it in the real world. But the whole purpose that he knows it can be done means that they were studying this stuff. And once they start studying it, they don't stop until they master it. And then you have to have real world examples. Like, there's a thing about like Toyota. There was a thing with Toyota cars that Toyota became the largest car maker in the world. Right after that happened, Toyota started crashing. They started saying the throttles were getting stuck on these cars and they were crashing and stuff, you know? Maybe that's where they started to train themselves and practice in the real world was on those Toyotas. This is just like hypothesis, just a theory I'm throwing out there, but just things that I witnessed in my life of things that happened in the real world. And so I can bring forth an example. It's like, you know what? There was that thing happening with Toyotas where the throttles were getting stuck. Maybe that's where they started to practice in the real world, and they say, well, let's take down Toyota because they just became the largest car maker in the world, so let's go ahead and attack Toyota and give them a smack on the butt, you know? That's what the white supremacist controlled world would do to them, right? Wouldn't they smack them? Oh, you guys are the biggest car company in the world? Okay, well, let's show you what it takes in the real world. Let's show you what it has to do with when you have car malfunctions and lawsuits that you have to deal with and stuff. So they start crashing these Toyotas, learning how to hijack these systems and stuff, right? Because what you know is that the cars, they don't have a throttle cable. Like I have a Toyota. Okay, my car, it doesn't have a throttle. When I punch the gas in the old world, you would punch the gas and it was connected to a cable which would pull on the carburetor and feed gas into the car, but there was an actual physical cable. That doesn't happen. Those cables are gone. It's you push on the gas pedal and it's some kind of mechanism does it, you know, feeds all the stuff. So that's just one little thing I wanted to add in there. But now let me show you. Here's a this is Kobe Bryant. These are audios that were recorded of Kobe Bryant's helicopter crashing. But now what I want you to see here is, because they talk about the fog, okay? Okay, now I lived in LA, so I'm aware of what heavy fog looks like and stuff, right? So in heavy fog, you barely can see across the street. Like, that's how heavy. It can get really, really bad. But as you can clearly see here, you can see all the way down the street. The fog is not hindering anybody's ability, any kind of visual reference to see with a fair amount of distance. And the pilot of the helicopter that's flying Kobe Bryant he pilots for a company called Island Express Helicopters, which on a daily basis, they fly people out to the island of Catalina. So that means the pilot of Kobe Bryant's helicopter would be a world-class pilot of flying across the ocean. You think he's going to have a problem flying in light fog over a city? You know, do you think he's going to get disoriented when this guy every day flies over the ocean? There's no way that this would have disoriented that pilot. He's a world-class pilot, and there is not heavy fog, as you can clearly see here. It's not heavy fog. So I don't want to show you all of these audios because it's like one of these things when I'm making videos like this, I have to worry about copyright things and people taking my videos. Oh, you can't use that and stuff, right? So here, I'm going to show you one of them. I'm going to turn the volume up all the way on this so you can hear it. And so this will be an audio of Kobe Bryant's helicopter on its final flight path and towards crashing into the mountain. And what I want you to hear here is that it's flying. It's not crashing. It's not coming down like out of control of what you would think. If a helicopter's coming out, it would become a vroom, vroom, vroom. And why is it flying at top speed? Because as it hits the mountains, it's documented that the helicopter is flying at top speed. It was like 190 miles an hour. It's flying at top speed on a direct course. It's flying. It's flying on a direct course right to the mountain. And you can hear the audio that this is not a helicopter that's in distress and falling out of the sky with some guy who's disoriented. This is a helicopter that's flying at top speed on a direct course right into the mountain. See, it just flew right by. It wasn't a helicopter in distress. It's flying. You can hear the sound of it coming right, flying. It's flying on a direct course right to the mountain. So that's what I'm saying is that they hijacked his helicopter. There's 3 audios if you want to like listen to them. There's 3. You could pull up Kobe Bryant doorbell camera, you know, and you can find these just like that, you know. There's 3 different ones. As you can see here too, you can perfectly see down the street. It's got the time stamped right here. January 26th. which coincidentally was the first day of the Chinese New Year of that year. And then on the last day, now I looked up the days that said on the last days of the Chinese New Year's lasted like a period of 2 weeks. There was like a celebration from this Chinese New Year that started on January 26, 2020, okay? That was the first day of the Chinese New Year, the year of the rat. Then, on the last day, it said that the Chinese New Year on the last days lasted over a period of 2 weeks. So I don't know the specific day. There's a technicality thing, but within the days of which it falls of the Chinese New Year, of the ending of it, okay, so you had, on the first day of the Chinese New Year, you had Kobe Bryant being assassinated. Now, on the last days of the Chinese New Year, now remember, Tiger Woods is of American and I believe he's Chinese ancestry, okay? So, and Tiger Woods, signed by Nike, and he's got his young son coming up that they're wanting to take over. Wouldn't his son be, it's like that, like Dale Earnhardt. Well, Dale Earnhardt Jr. became a superstar as soon as Dale Earnhardt died. Well, then Dale Earnhardt Jr. became a superstar. So if Tiger Woods was to die, and his son came up as a golfer, wouldn't he be like iconic superstar as being the son of Tiger Woods? And he would be right in bed with Nike. They'd have total control of him. So they're saying that Tiger Woods lost control and he crashed because he was sleepy and he's speeding or whatever. Now, or is his car hijacked? Because I'm going to prove to you that it had to be hijacked here. Now watch, this is Tiger Woods. This is video of Tiger Woods driving, not this first car. Okay, now look at, there's a car, and then there's Tiger Woods, okay? Now, did you see he's in what's known as the slow lane? He's in the right lane. Okay, that would be what's known as the slow lane. So if he was in some kind of a hurry or speeding mode, he would have been over in the left lane preparing to slowly speed past that other car. That's not what he's doing. He's over in the right lane. He's got a car in front of him. He's driving down the road in a neighborhood setting, so he can't be going that fast. What can the speed limit be on that road? It can't be that much. So now watch. Now, they come from the other angle. They're going to show you here. Here. Now they're going to show you here. There's the car in front of Kobe. Right? I mean, in front of Tiger Woods. That's the car in front of Tiger Woods. Now watch. You're going to see that Tiger is very aware of his settings and his environments. Now, as he's going here, if you look over to the left, like over here, you're going to see a group of bicyclists, okay? Now, watch what Tiger does. Red. He's hitting the brakes. So as he's coming here, he's got a safe distance between him, right? But just in case if he was speeding a little bit, as soon as he saw all those bicyclists in this neighborhood, instantly he hits his brakes. He's hitting the brakes. So that debunks any theory that he's in such a hurry that he was, or he's tired or whatever and not aware and that he's speeding and he crashes uncontrollably. That's not possible. But what happens? His car is speeding out of control and crashes into an area of which it looks like they were trying to assassinate him. What's more likely? You're going to tell me that this guy right here, after it just showed you that he's driving now and he's very aware of his environment. He's got a safe distance behind the car in front of him, but now he spots the bicyclist over there and he realizes, oh, I need to slow down a little bit more because this is a neighborhood. Let me just be a little bit more safe. But so you're going to tell me after all of this happens, when he perfectly recognizes, because it's only a short trip from where he left the hotel until the golf course of which he was going to. It's a short trip. So it's not that big of a deal for him. Just go ahead and slow down here. He's just only got a few minutes to get over to the golf course. Okay? But so you're telling me in between this happening, he decides to punch it. I'm going to drive like a madman. Boom, crash. Oh! Is that possible? No, it's not possible. But what is possible? That he was, somebody tried to murder him because benefits of Nike, the control of what Nike has, this connection to China with him being dual birth, origins of his birth, being like American black man and Chinese and stuff. So they tried to kill him to gain favoritism so they could endorse his kids and lift him up and sell golf to China in the future. Is that the kind of thing of what Nike would be looking for as doing business? Yes, exactly. How was he killed? His car was instantly hijacked, out of control. He could not control it. He couldn't hit the brakes. But you can clearly see here, he's capable of hitting the brakes. But at the time of his crash, no brakes. It's plowing right across the thing, no brakes, right over the thing, right into the trees. right into the trees, of which he should have ended up like this guy. Is that what they were trying to do to him? Looks like it to me.